Good morning. As the sun rises over the nation's capital, a sense of uncertainty hangs in the air for thousands of travelers and workers alike. Our national airspace system, the invisible web connecting cities and families across the country, is under unprecedented strain. Every day, millions rely on this intricate network to keep business, leisure, and life itself moving forward. Today, November 7, 2025, marks a turning point. A 37-day government shutdown has forced the FAA to mandate major flight reductions, hitting Washington, D.C. hardest. The ripple effects are being felt not just in the capital, but across the entire country. This isn't just about inconvenience, it's about safety. With fewer flights and more pressure on remaining staff, the risks grow for everyone in the air and on the ground. The FAA is cutting up to 10% of flights at 40 of the nation's busiest airports, including all three major D.C. airports. This means fewer options, longer waits, and more uncertainty for travelers. The reason is a severe shortage of essential personnel, especially air traffic controllers, many now working without pay. These professionals are the backbone of our aviation system, and their exhaustion is becoming a critical concern. These cuts are designed to relieve a system at its breaking point. But for many, it feels like a temporary fix to a much deeper problem, one that could have lasting consequences if not addressed. For D.C. residents and visitors, the impact is immediate, cancellations and delays just as the holiday season begins. Families hoping to reunite, business travelers with critical meetings and tourists eager to explore the capital are all facing a new reality. The effects extend beyond the terminals. Local businesses, airport vendors, and service workers are bracing for economic fallout as passenger numbers dwindle and uncertainty grows. This is the real-world fallout of a political stalemate, disrupting plans and straining a workforce that's already stretched thin. The stress is visible on the faces of both travelers and staff. Over the next few minutes, we'll break down what these cuts mean, which airports are most affected, and how airlines are responding. We'll also look at what's being done to support those on the front lines. Let's get to the heart of this crisis, explore the stories behind the headlines, and understand what it means for you and the future of air travel in America. The D.C. area's three major airports, Reagan National, Dulles, and BWI, are at the epicenter of these cuts. These airports are not just local travel hubs, they're vital arteries connecting the nation's capital to cities across the country and around the world. Every day, thousands of travelers rely on these airports for business, family visits, and international connections. Together, they served over 80 million passengers last year. That's more than the population of California and Texas combined, passing through their terminals in just 12 months. The sheer volume of people moving through these airports highlights just how critical they are to the region and the nation. The FAA's mandate means up to 10% fewer flights, hundreds canceled daily. This isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a massive disruption to the daily rhythm of air travel, with ripple effects that can be felt far beyond the D.C. area. Reagan and Dulles each lose about 80-85 flights per day, BWI, about 65. That's thousands of seats suddenly unavailable, and dozens of destinations temporarily out of reach for travelers. Cuts start at 4% and could reach 10% if the shutdown drags on. The longer the situation continues, the more severe the impact will be, affecting not just flights but also airport workers, local businesses, and the broader economy. Domestic flights between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. are targeted. International flights are spared for now. For many, this means their morning commute or evening return could be canceled with little notice, while overseas travelers may still find their flights operating, at least for the moment. These airports are among the busiest and operate in highly restricted airspace, requiring full staffing for safety. The complexity of managing so many flights in such a tight corridor makes any reduction in staff or flights a serious concern for both efficiency and safety. The FAA's goal: reduce pressure on overstretched controllers and prevent dangerous errors. With fewer flights to manage, controllers can focus more closely on each plane, reducing the risk of mistakes that could have serious consequences. For airlines like American and United, these cuts mean tough choices about which routes to trim. They must weigh which flights are most essential, which can be consolidated, and how to minimize disruption for their customers. The ripple effects will be felt nationwide, not just in D.C. Delays and cancellations here can cascade across the country, affecting connections in cities from Atlanta to Los Angeles. Every canceled flight is a disrupted plan for someone. It could mean a missed wedding, a lost business deal, or a family reunion postponed. The human cost of these disruptions is impossible to measure. The stakes are high for travelers and the entire aviation network. As the situation unfolds, the pressure is on to find solutions that keep the skies safe and America moving. At the core of this crisis are thousands of federal employees, especially air traffic controllers, working without pay. These are the people responsible for the safety of millions of travelers every day, guiding planes through crowded skies and ensuring that every takeoff and landing happens without incident. Yet, despite the critical nature of their jobs, they're being asked to show up, day after day, with no guarantee of a paycheck. They're now facing a second missed paycheck, with bills piling up and morale plummeting. Many are struggling to pay rent, mortgages, and basic expenses, forced to make impossible choices between putting food on the table and keeping the lights on. The emotional toll is mounting, as anxiety about the future grows with each passing day. The stress and distraction from financial uncertainty threaten the focus required for their high-stakes jobs. When your mind is preoccupied with unpaid bills and looming debts, it's nearly impossible to maintain the razor-sharp attention needed to keep air travel safe. Fatigue and worry are becoming constant companions for these essential workers. The FAA's flight cuts are a direct response to this untenable situation. With fewer staff available and those on duty stretched to their limits, the agency has no choice but to reduce the number of flights, leading to delays and cancellations that ripple across the country. But the staffing crisis goes beyond the control tower. Every corner of the airport is feeling the strain, from the front lines to behind the scenes. TSA is also short-staffed. Lost and found offices at Reagan and Dulles are closed. Security lines are growing longer, and the risk of mistakes increases as overworked staff try to keep up with demand. Every unfilled position adds to the strain and signals deeper trouble ahead. The absence of even a single worker can mean longer waits, more stress, and a system that's stretched dangerously thin. Meanwhile, 4,000 unionized airport workers at DCA and Dulles are locked in a wage dispute, adding to the tension. Their demands for fair compensation echo the frustrations of federal employees, creating a perfect storm of unrest and uncertainty. These are the people who keep airports running: baggage handlers, cleaners, wheelchair attendants. Their work is often invisible, but without them, the entire system would grind to a halt. Their fight for fair pay, combined with unpaid federal workers, exposes a workforce at its breaking point. The sense of frustration and exhaustion is palpable, as employees wonder how much longer they can hold on. The system is fraying at every seam. Passengers are feeling the effects too, enduring long lines, missed connections, and a travel experience defined by uncertainty. The risk isn't just inconvenience, it's safety. When the people responsible for our security and well-being are pushed to the brink, the consequences can be dire. The shutdown's human toll is growing by the day, leaving workers and travelers alike to wonder when relief will finally come. For travelers, the fallout is immediate. Thousands face canceled flights and upended plans. A missed flight means missed moments, business, family, or long-awaited vacations. Airports will be more crowded and chaotic as passengers scramble for alternatives. Disruptions in DC ripple nationwide, affecting flights and connections far beyond the capital. With Thanksgiving weeks away, the timing couldn't be worse. Families who booked early now face uncertainty and tough choices. Wait, rebook, or pay more. Fewer flights mean fuller planes, longer lines, and more stress at every step. Even basic services like Lost and Found are disrupted. Every part of the travel experience is harder until the shutdown ends. The stress is mounting for millions. Airlines are scrambling to manage the chaos and help stranded passengers. They're working with the FAA to cut flights strategically, protecting key routes and international connections. Most major carriers are offering flexible rebooking and full refunds for canceled flights. Communication is critical. Airlines are contacting affected customers by email, text, and app notifications. Southwest at BWI is auto-rebooking many travelers, but everyone should check their status proactively. Rebooking thousands is a logistical nightmare. The next available seat may be hours or days away. Customer service lines will be jammed. Use online tools and apps for faster help. These measures help, but can't erase the disruption. The best advice: stay flexible, stay informed, and act quickly. The FAA's flight cuts are just the latest blow to a system already under strain. Reagan National has faced persistent delays all year, worsened by new safety protocols after a deadly crash. Presidential flights now halt all air traffic, compounding congestion. Even before these cuts, delays average 90 minutes, some stretch to 11 hours. The shutdown is pushing an already fragile system over the edge. TSA lost and found closures are just one sign of crumbling infrastructure. Every small disruption adds to a sense of decay and public anxiety. Layering flight cuts on top of existing problems creates a perfect storm. This is a crisis of compounding failures, not just fewer flights. Thanksgiving is looming, and the crisis threatens to upend the busiest travel week of the year. If the shutdown continues, the FAA may order even deeper cuts, stranding thousands. Families face the prospect of missing holiday gatherings entirely. Disruptions in D.C. will ripple nationwide, creating a domino effect of delays and cancellations. The holiday season is a stress test for aviation. This year, it could be a breaking point. The hope lawmakers act before chaos descends. Leaders are prioritizing safety, even if it means grounding planes. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is clear. Safety comes first, even at the cost of massive delays. The FAA's cuts are based on careful analysis, targeting the most vulnerable pressure points. Especially DC airlines have some flexibility, but the FAA has final authority and can order more cuts if needed. The Department of Transportation is managing a crisis it didn't create, using every tool to keep the skies safe. Their message to travelers: expect disruption, and to lawmakers: the shutdown has real, urgent consequences. The only way out is to restore pay and stability for essential workers. Until then, safety means fewer flights. The future of air travel in DC and nationwide is uncertain. Flight cuts are a stark response to a system pushed to the brink by political gridlock. Airlines and travelers are left to manage constant disruption and uncertainty. The ripple effects will continue until the shutdown ends. The only real solution: pay the people who keep our skies safe. Until then, the horizon remains clouded by delays, cancellations, and anxiety. The empty skies over Washington are a call for urgent action.